What's up, everybody, and welcome to the newest installment of the Minorities Report. As always, I am your head minority in charge, the Butter Pecan Rican, Gus. Along with me, as always, is my biracial consigliere, Jaychelle.
What it is, everybody? That was a nice, Pinterest, type of, nickname right there.
The Butter Pecan Rican.
Right.
Dude, who doesn't like butter pecan?
Nobody. I didn't say nobody liked butter pecan.
Just saying. You know what? You know who doesn't like pecan pie?
Communist?
That's right.
Yeah.
And ISIS. Yeah.
And Antifa.
No, Antifa loved them some pecan pie.
No, I thought we were just spouting off all the conservative buzzwords.
Oh, you mean like MTJ?
Right.
Was it he's a socialist, communist, fascist? I'm like, dude, those aren't the same thing.
Those actually contradict each other.
Pretty much. Yeah, do you know what Antifa means? It's anti-fascist. Dude, I love to see the Good Liars or there's another kid I just started watching, Luke something, and they go out and interview these. He goes, "Oh, it was Antifa." I said, and then he goes, "You know what Antifa means? They're anti-fascist." So, are you in support of fascist?
So, speaking of supporting fascist,
what about Trump? I mean, what?
Jay Johnston, as you know, as the original voice of Jimmy Pesto and Bob's Burgers. So, as some folks may or may not know, is that he was involved in the January 6th insurrection.
Wait, who? What voice he did?
Jimmy Pesto.
He did. Oh, yeah, the character on there.
Yeah, Bob's rival, the asshole.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, and it was found out that he was there. He was involved in all the what's it called? All the violence and everything.
So guess who doesn't have a job anymore?
Pretty much, yeah. As soon as Fox and the creators found out about that, they dropped his ass. And I'm like, okay, this is fucked up that he did this, but it's so on brand for Jimmy Pesto. Yeah. Because Jimmy Pesto's a massive fucking asshole.
Is he like Timmy Turner's dad's next door neighbor? What was his name?
Oh, Dingleberg?
Dingleberg.
No, he's not Dingleberg, because Dingleberg's actually a nice guy. It's just that Timmy Turner's dad is just a major fucking hater. Yeah,
dude, he had so much player hate for him.
Oh, big time. Well, you know what it is because Dingleberg is he's everything that Turner wanted to have.
Yeah,
double income, no kids. Because let's face it, Timmy Turner's parents did not want him.
Well, Timmy Turner was a little shit. That's why.
Well, he wasn't a bad kid. It was just that his parents were dicks.
And how did he end up with fucking fairly odd parents?
Because his parents were shitheads. They put him in
this is true.
They put him in charge of a babysitter who's a sadist. But
Vicky.
Yeah, Icky Vicky. Oh, that was great. When
Chip Skylark.
Right. When Timmy, that was the best revenge. Timmy Turner got revenge on his evil babysitter by teaming up with her favorite pop star and record a diss track.
Yeah, that was funny.
But anyway, just wanted to mention Jay Johnson because they just announced a new voice actor for Jimmy Pesto.
No shit.
Eric Bauza. I'm not really familiar with him, but I've heard he's a pretty good voice actor and everything.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was on brand for Jimmy Pesto to be not only a MAGA,
right,
but also I could just picture him just being in Pelosi's chair, hey, listen, look, I'm farting in Pelosi's chair, zoom, and that whole thing.
Oh, dude, just to talk on the political thing for real quick, I just saw a clip of Anderson Cooper, and there was some right wing correspondent they have on CNN, and I don't know how old this clip is, but it was fucking hilarious. The dude's waxing on and fucking kissing Trump's ass. Oh, and Anderson Cooper, low-key under his breath, goes, he could take a shit on his desk and you'd fucking support him.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. Oh, hell, he could fucking flat out brick in the dude's mouth and he'll still support him.
And I watched another video where they were comparing, dude, Trump went on about being in Sioux City, and then the dude that was holding the event pulls him over and goes, we're actually in Sioux Falls. And then he talk about Biden being all fucking brain dead.
Oh god, he just put a Hoovy. Remember back in WCW, Hoovy? Juventud Guerrera. Yeah. He would he was trying to rip off the Rock's gimmick of the whole finally the Rock is in insert city where they're currently at.
He put the wrong city.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it reminds me of that episode, and I'm using one of yours, and the episode of The Simpsons where I think it was it Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
He that's what Trump should do. Write it down on his hand or something.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it fit on his little hand.
Right. You have to do that. What do you call it? It'll look like the little note that Chang in Community reads.
Yeah. Because remember, he goes, hello. Springfield. No, and that's the funny thing because they talk about Biden can't complete a sentence, but this motherfucker just rambles on about different things. But Biden, this is I wanted to go because he did that, and then they showed a clip of Biden. He was at the automobile manufacturers union at a rally, and he low-key dissed Trump because, while I'm here with you guys, the union, and I support and love you, somebody else was at a non-union shop because he went and held a rally at a non-union shop talking about auto manufacturing. And Biden's administration has brought in they've brought in like 60,000 new jobs in the automobile industry. Yeah. But what's funny is that this guy made a noise in the crowd, and Joe Biden, to tell you, he ain't that senile as they want him to. He goes, "You okay over there?" He goes, "I just want the media to know that wasn't me." And everybody started laughing. And then he did because Trump lately has been mocking him like, "Oh, Cotter," looking around the stage like he doesn't know where he's at.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden started doing that. And everybody was dying laughing.
You know what the thing is that a lot of people don't know is that Biden is like a witty dude.
He is VP.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Oh, I remember like when it was VP and he debated like what's that one dude's face? He always talks shit about Obama every chance he got.
Oh my God, that's half of the Republican Party.
Paul Ryan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Motherfucker, Biden took him to the what do they call it? The tool shed.
Yeah.
And everything, and just whooped his ass. And see, the thing is that this is typical of like Trump supporters. They're always gonna project all of Trump's like what's it called? His like habits onto Biden.
Yep.
They say that Biden's senile and everything, but because he has a stutter, like not a lot, a lot of people should know by now because he's stated this several hundred fucking times that he's had a stutter. He's tried to overcome it his whole life and everything.
His whole life, dude.
So when you're hearing him like babbling just a little, it's not because he's incoherent or senile. It's because he has a fucking stutter.
See, I grew up with one, so I can tell you how hard it is to try to get over it.
Right.
The way I kind of got over it as a kid, I didn't go to speech therapy or anything like that. I started talking faster.
Yeah.
And for some reason, as I start, that's why people go, "Oh, you talk so fast." And sometimes I talk low. It's like, because if I don't, my stutter will start to come back. And it wasn't like, but it was like, I would sometimes get stuck in a thought.
Right.
And it's hard, dude. I mean, people don't understand how difficult it is.
Which everybody does. You know what I'm saying? It's like, even ones who are not in stutter, like when they're going on like a, like I don't want to say tangent or anything, but we're talking on and on.
Right.
They're thinking and speaking at the same time, which is tough. And so,
well, that's why you can tell when somebody's not prepared. Like Lauren Boebert when they do that. Dude, you could literally see her sometimes speak, and in 2 sentences, she'll throw in 4 uhs.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to gather your thoughts first.
Or at least use a word to like transition to it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And therefore, vis-a-vis. But
vis-a-vis.
That my favorite. Like if you're a Matrix fan.
Dude, remember we knew somebody who just used it at the most inappropriate times?
Yes.
Oh, vis-a-vis is like that's not what you think it means.
And he always say like, "Oh, that's how I use it." Wrong,
incorrectly.
Right? But I was just about to say like they always like everything that Trump does, they always try to like throw on Biden.
Bro, they Kim Jong-un him.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They say like, oh, Biden, he likes to smell little girls' heads. He's a pedophile, and yet Trump was buddy with Epstein. Oh, and also is on record saying like he would like to fuck his own daughter.
Yeah, no, and there was another thing like this past couple of weeks that he did. He was waxing poetically. Kissing ass to Kim Jong-un, Putin, and what's the dude in China, Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
And he was so like, oh, but then he fucked up because he goes, Kim Jong-un in charge of 1.5 billion people. It's like that's China, bro.
I just find
it's like wrong country.
I just find the irony is that his supporters and everything.
Well, because they're as stupid as he is.
Yeah, they always like when they always accused of Obama of being a fascist and everything,
and a Muslim,
and a Muslim, and then here's fucking like Trump going on and on, gallivanting about about actual fascist.
Yep.
So it's just this whole fucking hypocrisy that always like racks my brain.
Do you know what I loved about the best thing about Obama? I mean, he was cool as fuck, but the best thing is that he made all these right wing shitheads, their heads explode, that his middle name was Hussein.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I
don't think it was the Barack that got to them. It was the Hussein.
Well, you know what's fucked up is that, and this is like the racism of people, is that they hear a name like that's tied to a like a dictator or such and everything, and they automatically think that if you have that name, that you're crazy or you're violent and everything.
Yeah. Well, there was this one dude that I knew back in New York, and his name was Abdul.
Yeah.
And a lot of racists like to use Abdul as like a name that they use, 'cause they go, listen here, Abdul. And he's like, that's my name.
Right.
So you're just calling me by my name.
That reminds me of this one bully I knew back in high school. Like, his roast game was terrible. Like, you would say
most
to him,
racists are.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was
most bigots and racists, they're awful.
Yeah. And so he would call me by my full name because I always went by my nickname back in high school and everything. Yeah. But he would call me like by my full name, like some kind of like gotcha and everything.
You
like,
my mama.
Yeah. I was like, your real name is. And he'll say it.
So
and
what's your point?
Yeah, I'm like, so he'll like, hey, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, the gotchas that like back in the day when I was growing up, it was they would call Muslims Abdul or Muhammad, which there's a lot of them named that. So
yeah, Muhammad is about as common as John.
And then then for Indians they go in Punjab. I was like, yo, dude, that's actually a religion. You're not insulting them.
Right.
It's like Punjabi is a religion and a subculture of India. That's not really an insult. And they try to do that because the racial slurs from back in the day for people who are Chinese or Asian descent, they would call them certain things. Right. I don't want to say them, but not that we'll get canceled. I just don't like saying them.
Right. And it's also was like, God damn, you're not even a smart racist. Like if you're gonna make some slurs, at least do some research. Put some work into it.
That's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Smart racist.
Right. I know, but still, like,
dude, mostly racism I believe is born out of ignorance. And also, it's taught to you, right? Because the fear is no one is born with fear.
Yeah.
There are instincts within the human brain, I think, that we already have, but I think a lot of the fears that we have are taught to us. Some kids are afraid of heights. I mean, some people are afraid of heights. I think their parents traumatized them with doing something when they were a kid, so on and so forth. But so racism is taught.
Absolutely.
And some people can break away from it. I've used the example before. We know someone whose father was an actual member of the KKK. It wasn't that he was an actual fucking card-carrying member. And this dude ended up marrying a black woman from Africa. Then he married a Native American woman. He's just shitty at marriage, I guess. Because then his third marriage is now to an Asian woman.
Right.
So he left home because he didn't want to deal with his father's racism.
And there's also the story of the tattoo artist who was a former white supremacist.
Yeah.
Where he had the swastikas on him and everything. And so he removed them themselves. Yep. And he wanted to do a service. He wanted to give back to the community by helping out, reformed racist supremacists and everything by removing their tattoos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one. The one I thought was really cool, and I can't remember where it was or who the guy was. He got out of prison. He was part of the Aryan Nation, and he was part of the skinheads when he was younger. And he was like, he had to do like a halfway house thing, and the woman they put him as his counselor was black.
Yeah.
Or is black, and he grew more tolerant with her, more and more tolerant, and she converted him. He was like, I'm a different person now, and I thank her for it. And he wants to help her do the same thing to others. Yeah. And then there's also this dude on TikTok that he was reprogrammed too, and he actually now preaches, not church-wise, because that'd be awful. He preaches now how the system is rigged against people of color. Yeah. And that's all his TikTok is debating and combating people who don't realize the systematic racism against people of color in the judicial system.
See, you know what the worst, being indoctrinated at a young age is terrible, but you know what's the worst is when it happens when you're older. Like when you're an adult, you can make your own decisions, because that's just like a proof of being like weak-minded and everything.
See, I think some of those people is just some shit that happened to them. I seen dudes become racist because their girlfriend cheated on them with a black guy.
Yeah, just like dumbass reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because a friend of mine, we were very close.
Right.
We
Cheated
knew each
on
other
you
in
with a
high
black
school.
guy?
No. I said friend, not girlfriend. So she goes into the Navy and she's stationed in the South. And she's a white girl.
Right.
And so she, one day, like, she ran into like these like black dudes and everything, and they were very like antagonistic towards her and everything, and that sucks. It's a shame and everything. But ever since then, she she believed that every black person was now evil, just because of that one incident and everything.
Yeah.
And this is a grown woman, and already she's having like those ignorant ass thoughts. It gets worse. So she comes to visit on during like her shore leave and everything.
Yeah.
And so she says like, yeah, I've just like, it's been tough in the South. Like all these black people are just like being so mean and everything. And I want you, she's saying to me, I want you, when people ask you what your race is, don't mention that you're black. I'm like, fucking excuse me?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Don't mention that you're black?
Yeah.
Bro, it's kind of obvious that you're biracial.
Right.
It's not a hidden thing.
But it's just so fucking insulting that she wants me to hide half of my ethnicity.
Yeah,
just because
I won't do that shit for nobody.
No. And I told her like, you cannot be this fucking stupid just because you ran afoul of like a couple people.
Right.
That happen to be a particular race that were antagonistic towards you, that means you're going to generalize everyone.
I mean,
that's
there's assholes in every race.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he goes. It's like Sam Jackson and Mel, fucking Bruce Willis and Die Hard. You don't like me because I'm white. I don't like you because you're going to get killed.
Yeah,
it's like some people like that. It's like, oh, you don't like me because I'm XYZ. No, I don't like you because you're an asshole.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. Another people that like to do that, and with all due respect, is some people that are overweight. They try to use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, you don't like me because I'm fat. No, I don't like you because you're an asshole.
Or even people who are in wheelchairs.
Yeah, you can weigh 100 pounds. You're an asshole.
Yeah. No. And it happens. Like they'll use that, like, and they'll use that as a crutch to like make excuses.
Exactly.
Yeah, and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I had, there was one time when I worked at a call center, this dude, he wanted me to do something on his account. I said, dude, I can't do that. He goes, oh, you only won't do it because I'm black. I'm like, bro, you're on the phone. I don't know what fucking color you are. I was like, I didn't say it, but I thought it. But what I did was I combated him with my intellect. I said, sir, how do you assume that I'm not a man of color? I was like, just because I'm not, yo. I was like, I didn't say that, but I'm saying, all I did was tell him, sir, how are you to assume that I'm not a person of color? I'm not a man of color. I was like, I'm not doing this. I said, I have no idea what ethnicity you are. You're a name on a screen to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I would say the same thing to anyone.
This reminds me when I used to work at a grocery store, and I was a general merchandise clerk, basically stock boy. And so
I like how they church it up.
Oh, big time!
It's like calling a janitor a custodial engineer.
Right. And well, they used to call the bag workers like courtesy clerks.
Yeah.
Like But
so like that reminds me of that George Carlin bit. I'll let you tell your story. You know which bit I'm talking about.
Yeah. But anyway, so like I was asked to help out in the deli.
Right.
And so one night we're closing off the deli, and our register was like already like counted out and everything. And so this one man in a wheelchair, motorized wheelchair, comes up and he says, "Excuse me, can I pay for my stuff here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a register open. We just closed it and everything, and I cannot help you because I'm not trained as a cashier. Because back then you had to be trained. You had to do tests and everything to become a cashier."
Right.
And so he takes his little basket and throws it on the ground like, "That is discrimination. I cannot fit in those like aisles. That's why I came here. I'm going to report to your union or whatever. You have a good day." And he flies off. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then he comes back like, "What is your name?" I'm like, "I'm not giving you my name. First of all, it's not because you're in a wheelchair. I can't help you. I don't know how to work a register." Yeah. And also, if you look at our aisle one, our register one, it actually is designed to be wide enough for wheelchairs and other physically disabled folks. And there was somebody working there.
He didn't want to stand on the line.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, sorry, not stand on the line. You know what I mean. Wait in line.
Hey, fuck him. I don't care. Yeah, it is.
And it's not dissing on people with disabilities. It's just this asshole.
Yeah.
It's like the story that my girlfriend told me about. She knows someone who is a military veteran, and all due respect to all vets, there's some dudes that are a veteran, but they think that like they went to war and they deserve every ounce of respect.
It's the clout chasing.
And they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway, this dude, she said one time she was with him, his wife, and they went through a drive-through at a fast food place, and he fucking had a full Karen moment because they didn't give him his military discount. I served this country. I'm like,
it was probably like what, $1?
Probably. I don't know how much it is, but still, it's like, dude, I mean, just say it. Hey, excuse me. Sorry, you didn't give me my military discount. I would appreciate it.
Just be chill about it.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. And I'm sure most people, 9 out of 10, will go, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go ahead and take care of that. You ain't got to blow a gasket over that shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, calm down there, PTSD.
They did it for the flex. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, honestly.
Again, there's nothing wrong. I'm not speaking against people with PTSD. I have a touch of it myself.
Yeah. But and the thing is that it makes you think like, okay, what did they join the military for? Because it sounds like if he's gonna blow up like that, it sounds like he joined for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's all about. I think when you were talking about we're nostalgic for the good old days. So when we're gonna take a quick break, and that's what we're gonna talk about. It's called nostalgia fapping. I don't know if it's a real term, but
it should be.
It should be. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you guys for continuing to hang out with us. So before we went on break, we were talking about nostalgia. And we want to talk about today about nostalgia fapping. The first time I heard this term was from you, Jay. And it's basically where people wax poetically about the past, like there's nothing superior to it.
Yeah.
And they live for that and only that.
And that's pretty much they become like their whole personality and everything.
It keeps them from appreciating new things.
Right. It's basically like the whole like peaked in high school type of mentality and everything. Yeah. They always want to think about like the past as opposed to the present or even think about the future.
I scored 4 touchdowns in a football game one time.
For Polk High. They used to call him the Bulldozer.
He's kind of like one of the first nostalgia fappers.
Yeah, Al Bundy. Which is funny because he's a subject of nostalgia fapping as well.
Yeah. Well, they call that peaking in high school, but I think it's also part of nostalgia fapping.
Oh, it totally is.
Going back to the good old days.
Yeah. So like, we all know about nostalgia. You know, we love to think about like back when we were young and everything.
I'm a huge fan of nostalgia, pop culture nostalgia. I love thinking back. Dude, the other day I posted a picture of, I don't know if you're too young to remember, the Magic Garden. It was a TV show back in my day. I can say that now. Back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, it was a show called The Magic Garden. And it was like a children's show. And it was really fucking cool. And they had this squirrel called Nutso. But anyway, I don't sit there and go, oh, there's nothing like this on TV now.
See, like, well, yeah. Oh, we'll get to that as well.
That's nostalgia fappers.
Yeah. So like, okay, so, nostalgia's nice. We always like to think back like when we're kids and everything.
It is. You're always talking about the origins of hip hop and video games, and that's nostalgic.
Yeah. And also I noticed that, people like to use it to, as a coping mechanism, because life, like their current lives are extremely tough, like they're going through a lot, so they like to think about the times when they were kids when they didn't have to worry about that. It's like that one hip hop jam from back in the day, ironically called Back in the Day.
Back in the day
when I was a kid. I was like, back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I said I was a kid again. I said I wish I was a kid again. Yeah. So
those words up,
but it's that whole like coping mechanism. They like to think back of like, the simple times and everything. And that's cool and all. That's great.
Yeah.
However,
there
are times when nostalgia fapping gets extreme. Like it gets like so incredibly like borderline obsessive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the whole MAGA movement, it really embraced that because they're like, oh, we need to get back, make America great again.
Yeah.
And I remember Comedy Central, they sent out all their correspondents of color to a rally.
Yes. Oh, like Roy Wood Jr.?
Yeah. Goes, when was America great? When should you go back to? He goes, oh, like the 1950s. He goes, oh, when women couldn't have credit cards?
Yeah. No, not that. Oh, when black people couldn't use the water fountain or the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jordan Klepper did a great one on that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love Jordan Klepper. He needs to be the next host.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's nostalgia fapping. And honestly, and that's also like the called toxic nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because, there are a lot of folks that would like to go about like the good old days, but at the same time, completely being inconsiderate and ignoring the plight of folks who were disenfranchised back in those days. Women, minorities, and all that. I remember a friend of mine. He, that I've knew since high school and everything, and he has that peaked in high school energy. He's always going on about how great high school was, and he's always going on about this mutual friend of ours. And he says, "Oh man, I loved when Brian did this, that, and everything." Brian was a massive dick to me. Like he was.
I remember you telling me a story about it.
Yeah, he was basically your Pablo.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you remember when I told you about Pablo?
Yeah.
The one that was trying to always flex in front of girls and be the ladies' man.
Yeah.
It was like, calm down, keep it in your holster.
Yeah, and so Brian always used to he would say he was my friend, but he would always throw me under the bus. Yeah. And whenever we were hanging out with large groups and everything. And so,
dude, I saw that in a show recently. Sex Ed. Have you watched Sex Ed?
Oh, is that with
Sex Education?
Gillian Anderson?
Yeah,
I have not watched that yet.
Dude, you got to watch it. There's an episode where it goes into that, where this one girl, they're older now, and she remembers this girl. She goes, I can't remember where she was from, but then she remembered that when they were in camp together, summer camp, she was her only friend. But then all the popular girls, she wanted to get in with them. So she started making fun of the girl too.
Yep.
Along with them.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be on the popular crowd. It's like, that's a dick move, man.
Oh, and that's exactly what Brian was.
With me, it was different. If you made fun of my friends when other people were around, I'd punch you in the fucking face.
Yeah.
I tell you the story about Pablo. Even though he was my friend, he started we were playing tackle football, and he started being a little too rough with a kid that probably weighed 30 pounds less than him. So I fucking body slammed him.
Yeah.
I said, what now, bitch?
And
I've always had more strength than I look like I do. So I weighed about 120 pounds, but I could bench at that time 225, and I just fucking body slammed him.
And honestly, looking back when you told me that story, I don't think Pablo was your friend at all, man.
No, he was more of a hang around. Because as soon as he got the chance to go hang out with the popular older guys and smoke weed in junior high school, he dropped out at 15, dude.
Oh yeah, he's a coattail rider.
Yep.
And looking back, I don't think Brian was actually my friend at all.
No.
Why would you want to put your friend through that shit? And why? Just so you can look cool?
That's exactly why.
And what's funny, he was all about wanting to look cool, but he would always brag about how he was a nonconformist. So if you're a nonconformist, you wouldn't give a shit if people thought you were cool or not.
No, dude, I always kind of stood on my own. I was kind of I don't want to say nerd growing up, but I was definitely the oddball, and my friend Adam Lopez was always the oddball with me because we didn't get made fun of or bullied. We were into comic books and all collectibles and shit, but we also played sports, and we also fought because we used to. In junior high school, you know how you always say, and it's mostly true, where kids become little dicks in junior high school.
Oh, big time!
They start getting that little push of testosterone, and we were like anti-bullies. Like we would fight bullies.
Right?
We'd see somebody picking on somebody. We had this kid in our grade named Miguel, and I believe he was a little person because we were in 6th grade, and he couldn't have been no more than 4'11", and while we were all growing, he wasn't. And he used to get picked on when we got to junior high school. And Adam and I used to fucking stand up for him and be like, nah, man, we've known this kid since the 2nd grade. You ain't fucking with him.
And honestly, I could have used you and your friends as help back in junior high because my junior high was a haven of bullying. it was some of the worst times of my life because a lot of kids in there were just straight up assholes and for like no reason.
Well, because you're a little different. As long as you're a little different, that's all they care about.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I knew it had something to do with my race and everything.
Well, you went to junior high in Scottsdale, right?
Well, no, that was the bulk of my junior high career was in San Diego, but suburban San Diego.
Cucamonga? No,
close. It was a Rancho actually. It was Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah, and it was probably a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood.
Yeah. And so a lot of bullying was evident and everything, and you had like your typical apathetic administration. They say like the whole like come tell a teacher and we'll do something about it.
They didn't do shit.
Yeah, like it was like the Arrested Development narrator. They didn't do anything.
And that's the same thing even now because my kid went through the same thing in junior high school. She was being bullied, and when we told the school, they didn't do shit. I was like, I ain't going to do nothing, man. So I taught my kid how to tear them down verbally and not touch them physically because she was far bigger than them.
Well, it's also that if you fight back physically, that'll get you in trouble.
That's
because
what I told them. I said they never see who hits; they see who hits back.
Right, and they never punish the bullies.
Nope,
they always punish the victims.
Or they punish both of them.
Oh, I remember one time a bully was like harassing me, like he kept like touching me and everything, and I swiped his hand away. Right. The teacher saw it. And she saw me swipe his hand away. So she saw that whole thing out of context. Instead of actually, what's it called? Investigating, like ask, okay, who started it? Like getting to know like what happened and everything. She just made up her mind right off the jump. Yeah. And then I got lunch detention and he got away scot-free.
Bro, because you were a double threat to them. Not threat, but you were a double because you're part Latino and part black. So they're like, you're not even one race.
That was Miss Finkbeiner. Miss Finkbeiner, are you there? Go fuck yourself.
No, but I'm talking about the bullies too. Because like they just put a target on you because one, you're a double minority, and then two, you're into like pop culture and comic books.
Power
shit
Rangers
like that.
And all that. Like if you were into Power Rangers, that means you were corny.
Oh, you baby.
Yeah. See, so what just happened there, folks? That was healthy nostalgia right there. And to me, that's healthy nostalgia right there because we were realizing what was going on and how could we help like the next generation prevent that.
No, exactly. So, but going back to nostalgia fapping, one of the big eras that people nostalgia fap hard on is the 80s. So fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I see these kids that are like young millennials, not at like your age, but like they're in their late 20s or even Gen Zers, and they're like all about the 80s. I was like, you don't know shit about the 80s. I was like, you just know all the fucking movies you watch. And let me tell you something. There's some classic 80s movies.
Yeah.
Anything by what's his face? What's that director?
John Hughes.
John Hughes.
Yeah.
So Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, anything with Molly Ringwald, I guess, and all that other shit. You got Goonies, but all these people fap nostalgia fap over it, but they don't realize that how it was different back then.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that we had it hard in the 80s, but we were latchkey kids, Gen X. A lot of Gen X were latchkey kids, and most of us were in urban areas. And for those who don't know what a latchkey kid is that your parents usually worked. There was no stay-at-home mom usually, and a lot of us were from single-parent households, or both parents had to work, and because Reaganomics, because it was supposed to help Americans.
Yeah, that didn't.
It destroyed the fucking middle class. But anyway, I can go on about that forever. We were latchkey kids, so mom had to go to work. There was one point when my mom would leave my 12-year-old sister to watch us because she worked a third shift at a soap factory, and my sister was in charge of watching us overnight. And I was like maybe 4 years old. I remember this. And my mom had to do what she had to do because she was a single mother of 4 kids. Yeah. And so it was a lot of that shit. So people just wax nostalgic over the whole movies and shit. But it was a tough time, dude. It was, we were going,
the crack epidemic.
Well, even before the crack epidemic, Coke was fucking huge. Yeah. The inner cities, there was more burned down buildings. And I think that's where kind of the whole gentrification started. Yeah. Because the government was doing nothing about buildings being burnt down. They would leave empty lots for like years. Yeah. Because I remember we used to play in fucking empty lots where buildings had been torn down. Yeah. We were playing in abandoned building. There was an abandoned building on my block for a good 5 years before they knocked it down.
And that was your jungle gym.
Yeah. And what and I saw that, and thinking back on it now, it's like that's when the whole quote unquote urban renewal started to try to push out the minorities or push out poor people and move in people with money. The building I grew up in was a 3-story, old ass, probably built in the early 1900s tenement building. It was a 3-story building, and it was railroad apartments. I don't know if you're familiar. Railroad apartments is like you have to go through a bedroom to get to the next bedroom. Like it was all in line. There were no privacy, and so now that building, it had roaches, like German cockroaches, which are the worst, and rat and mice. And now that building, it was urban renewed, gentrified, and now it's worth like $8 million. No, sorry, $1.8 million or $2 million now. I'm like, that fucking piece of shit building.
And you know, I honestly, I think a lot of folks, like especially young folks and everything, like to focus on like the idealized idea of the 80s. So like I know, like, you know, vaporwave, synthwave, and all that. Like, you know, they like to be fans of that, and and you know what. And that's awesome. Like I think that's a cool aesthetic and everything.
Yeah, the new wave,
the new wave and everything.
Back in the day, it was new wave, like Devo,
right, and everything. And and we see a lot of like these like works by like these current, like, you know, filmmakers and game developers, where you have like these like movies, TV shows, and video games that are like a throwback, that pay homage to that decade and everything, like Stranger Things, Kung Fury. There's these a couple video indie games that like are based like on the 80s synthwave, like a Hotline Miami and everything. So yeah, I understand being a fan of like the aesthetic and everything.
What do you call it? Grand Theft Auto did a whole fucking
Vice City.
Yeah,
hell, even before the whole synthwave and everything became even bigger. But it's like, don't ignore the fact that there was a lot of bad shit that happened during that decade.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, it wasn't like a utopia, you know? Like there were some cool things that came out of that decade.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when somebody goes, "Oh, the good old days." I'm like, for who?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I was like, I grew up on welfare and food stamps, eating government cheese. That was the good old days for me.
See, that's what I hate when people say the good old days. I'm gonna do like a little like a PSA right here. None of you had the good old days. No. It was just it was your heyday. That's it. I would rather people just straight up be self-absorbed about it and say during my heyday, because at least you're not trying to generalize an entire decade as being awesome. Yeah. Because like I was mentioning, my friend who likes to talk about Brian and everything, he likes to wax poetic about him. It wasn't good times for me because he treated you with respect, but he treated me like shit. So. Forgive me if I don't want to join in your fucking nostalgia fapping.
Yeah.
And so this whole like, you know, good old days and everything, I think is a bullshit term.
Yeah.
And so, you know, now that we talk about like the 80s, about like how people like to wax nostalgic about that decade, there's this Facebook group. I know you know about it, but 80s commercials, trailers, toys, and more.
Yeah.
That group is such a double-edged sword because they post some cool things on there. Hey, remember this show? And it'd be like an obscure TV show or movie. I'm like, oh, damn. I haven't thought about that in like years.
I watch some videos like that, and they'll like talk about cartoons that only lasted. I'm like, oh shit, I used to watch that.
Yeah, or the toys and everything and whatnot. But then there's a dark side to that group because there's a lot of toxic ass racist boomers on there that would always talk shit about millennials, zillennials, and everything, saying like our generation was the best. We're not soft like you kids. And they would flex about child abuse. Like I'm not exaggerating. They flex about child abuse.
Oh,
like,
my mother beat me and I was okay.
And that taught me about respect. No, that taught you fear.
That taught you how to be a dick.
And also they would talk. They would show like all these janky ass jungle gyms that were basically like Mortal Kombat death pits, but for kids.
I grew up with those too, though.
Yeah, and look how that turned out. You have a bum fucking hip.
Oh, no, not only that, I got scars. I got scars, yo.
I was like, why would you guys flex about having a concussion before hitting junior high?
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
We used to have metal slides.
Yeah.
Imagine in the summer going down a metal slide with shorts on.
Yeah.
All you heard was that was skin coming off.
Oh, that was terrible. See, and they always talk about like the soft generation. Yeah. Hey, dipshit, you raised the soft generation. So they always talk about shit about like the current generations, the millennials and the Gen Zers, but who fucking raised them?
Here's my thing about that.
Yeah.
Boomers
Yeah.
raised mostly Gen Xers. And Gen Xers were so traumatized and so fucked up. And big thing about, we couldn't go to our parents about mental illness. They're like, what mental illness? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Get over it. Just quit being a little bitch.
Yeah.
So a lot of us who are Gen X, I'm not saying all of us, a lot of Gen X, what they wanted to do is wanted to raise their kids different from what they were raised like. You know, none of the fucking beatings we used to take, you know, shit like that. I personally never got disciplined that hard but I did get punched in the face one time by my father. Actually twice. Punched in the face. It wasn't, you know, he was going for the knockout blow.
Yeah.
But anyway, I won't even get into that. And you know how they say that the kid confronts their father when they get old enough? You know, it was, for me, it was at 18. He raised his hand to me. I said, oh man, you hit me. That'd be the last time you touch anybody.
God damn.
And he put his hand back down. He got scared. But anyway, but that's what I think happened. And that's my dime store psychiatrist about it, because boomers were so tough on Gen Xers, because most of the boomers raised Gen Xers. They were so hard on us that we went the whole complete opposite way when we raised our children. You know, a lot of boomers either have kids that were Gen Xers or older millennials like yourself, because let's face facts, your parents are boomers.
Yeah.
But they're not boomers. They're boomers like Mr. Hand is boomer, not like, you know, back in my day, I used to take a ass whooping. Like, good for you. Mazel tov. But that's what that was. And so I think that's the thing. Like, so Gen Xers whose kids are either younger millennials or Gen Zers, we raised them different than we were. And that's the thing. So, and I think that's what the combative is against boomers, against Gen Zers and millennials, because we raised them to stand up for themselves. And when a boomer talks shit to them, they go, whoa, 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 old dude, calm down before you break a hip. Yeah, and they think that, oh, these kids are disrespectful. Yeah, because that's why we taught them.
Yeah.
Don't take no shit from nobody.
Well, and that's another thing that you mentioned, like, oh, these kids are disrespectful, blah, blah, and everything. Well, maybe it's because you kept talking shit about them.
Yeah, quit being a dick, and they won't.
Or the fact that you poisoned their childhood, or like pretty much like the what do you call it, the status quo,
right,
and everything. Because, like, you know, as you mentioned, like, you know, mental like, you know, talking about mental illness or mental health and everything has always been stigmatized. Or like when you're trying to be vulnerable, you can't be, because, you know, you have to say be a man and, like, you know, nut up and everything.
Be a man.
Right.
No, you know what my thing is about that? Okay, you know how boomers are always telling millennials that they what is it? They expect things, that they're entitled. I was like, motherfucker, you think you're entitled to respect just because you old and you exist?
Yeah.
I was like, that's not the way that works.
Right.
You know, somebody once told me, oh, well, I'm older, so you're supposed to respect me. Who the fuck said that? When did I sign that contract? I was like, you need to earn that shit.
That's like the mayor from Do the Right Thing. Like, you know, if you're gonna act like the mayor, like a public drunk and everything, we ain't gonna respect you.
Yeah, fuck all that noise.
Yeah. But also, and not only,
let's get back to nostalgia.
Well, that is nostalgia right there. So we're still on point and everything. Yeah. But I also, you brought up a good point that they all, like, the, you know, the older generations are always talking about, like, entitlement of, like, the new generations and everything. But little they know that they're just as entitled as, like, the younger generation claims to be. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, you guys expect everything. Your AARP benefits, your Social Security.
Hey, I earned that. They say I earned that
by what, existing?
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
then I should get a benefit.
Yeah.
You know, the good job that you didn't fucking die.
You earned it. Why? Because you worked and got old.
Right. Oh, and that's another thing. So a lot of them flex about doing really dangerous shit as kids. Like, oh, I used to play in the mud. I used to drink from the water hose. Yeah, that's why you look like Wilford Brimley by age 25.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was watching a Weekend Tonight with John Oliver. John Oliver. John Oliver. He showed pictures of people. He goes, well, one thing, that guy's 30. He's like, he looks like he's 60. It's like, yeah, motherfuckers look old back in the day. Yeah.
And another aspect of nostalgia fapping is ignoring how, like, problematic a lot of TV shows and, like, movies were and everything. Like that Facebook group I told you about, they love Revenge of the Nerds. They love some of that Lambda Landa and everything. And you know, Revenge of the Nerds is seen as like a classic movie and everything.
You mean the movie that ends with date rape?
Exactly. So, what's it called?
People tend to forget that.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny is that I think they realize that, but they don't want to admit it. It's that whole like, you know, we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist, which, you know, has led to like a lot of generational trauma.
Exactly.
But yeah, so they'll talk about movies like that, like, oh man, these movies were great, and then luckily there's some logical thinking people on that page calling them out, saying like, you loved when the main character date raped the main character, or when they put cameras in like the girls, like the sorority like houses and everything.
Right. Well, the thing is, they go back and they think about the ideal shit about that. Like, oh, when like Pretty in Pink ends up with her with the popular cute guy and all this shit.
Yeah.
And Say Anything, he realizes that his best friend was his love all along. Shit like that.
Oh, you mean Some Kind of Wonderful?
Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yeah.
Say Anything was John Cusack.
Yes.
But they don't realize, and the same thing he did in Better Off Dead. Remember with was it Simone, the French girl?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway. And like even that movie, the mom was trying to fucking buy his son a girlfriend. You remember she brought her from as a foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got to fuck my son.
Right.
Pretty much is what she was saying. No, and another one, but one they don't talk about is, and it's a very obscure movie that nobody really talks about from the 80s. It's called The Last American Virgin.
Yes.
And at the end, the girl breaks the dude's heart he did all this shit to help her, and then. Fun fact, she's actually the same French girl from Better Off Dead.
I'm noticing a career trajectory there.
That was Better Off Dead, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Say Anything was the boombox.
Yeah.
No, so she breaks his heart by going back to the
douchebag.
Long story short, he's this kid's trying to get laid. He's the nerd kid of their three friends. His best friend gets this girl pregnant, leaves her. He helps her take care of the situation, if you know what I mean. And then he goes to a party at the end and sees her making out back with his best friend. So he took care of her, took care of what she needed, and was in love with her. Goes out, sells his stereo, and does all these things to help her. And then she goes back and hooks up with his best friend again. So it ends him driving away crying.
Yeah.
People don't wax nostalgic over that movie.
Yeah. And honestly, it's one of the most realistic endings ever. It wasn't the Hollywood ending.
No.
That shit happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And
I mean, you know, unfortunately, I have to say you're a testimony to that. It's happened to you, and unfortunately,
it's happened to you too.
No, more than once.
It's happened to everybody. Yeah. Let's not flex here. Like, oh, that didn't happen to me, nigga, please. But no, and
you don't know me,
right? But yeah, so see, like that movie, like that definitely does, like, it did like break the status quo.
Exactly.
On 80s teen movies.
Other 80s movies.
Right.
But that's one that they don't talk about.
Yeah, you know? Right. And also, like, what's really annoying is like the common defense when people point out like the most horrible shit that happens in these movies.
Yeah.
Like what happened in Revenge of the Nerds and all that. They always say, "Oh, it was a different time.
It was a sign. It was a different time. It was a sign of the time."
Do you know what else was a sign of the times? The Holocaust. But we don't want to. But that doesn't mean it's a good thing.
No, but I'm talking about the 80s.
Yeah.
He goes, "You know what else is a sign of time? Cocaine.
Yeah,
crack."
It's such a cop out excuse, because basically when you say that means I got nothing, so I'm just gonna do more nostalgia fapping.
Right, but you could also tell by nostalgia fapping who grew up in the hood or in an urban environment and who grew up in the suburbs, because you'll get those suburban kids that Say Anything, Some Kind of Wonderful, Breakfast Club, all this shit. And you talk to somebody who grew up in the hood, what's it about? Colors.
Yeah.
Juice. Was it fucking
Do the Right Thing
Do
as well?
the Right Thing.
She gotta have it.
She gotta have it.
Yeah.
Fucking the one with, oh my God, I can't remember. Why can't I remember the fucking name right now? Shit.
Who's in it?
I'm trying to think now. Lorenz Tate, Boys in the Hood.
But yeah. No, but Lorenz Tate. Oh, you mean Lorenz Tate was in
not Lorenz Tate.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Right,
yeah.
right. It was Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, and
Maurice Chestnut.
Maurice Chestnut.
Yeah,
yeah. And there was movies like that, and that's when people grew up in the hood, like Breaking, Beat Street.
Yep.
People don't give Beat Street enough love. Everybody talks about Breaking, but people don't speak.
Beat Street was awesome
because Beat Street wasn't only about the dance culture.
It was like a lot. It was like a
also
lot
about the hip hop culture too, and the DJ culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing from the '80s that don't get enough love, and not nostalgia fapping, but don't get enough love is the DJ. Because bro, we used to dudes. I remember dudes in the hood. We used to go to the public parks, and they would tap into the light posts because if you broke open the bottom of the light post, you could hook up to the electricity, and they would fucking hook up their turntables and their speakers to that, and they would just impromptu fucking DJ session, and people would just come out.
Yeah. See right there, that's an example of healthy nostalgia right there. Because it's not painting like a idealized picture of like what happened back in the day. Because like that example, like, they had to DJ because that's all they could have. Like they had to use like the resources that were afforded to them. They couldn't hire like a band or like a
club or a hall to go.
They had to entertain themselves.
But one thing I do defend, I'm gonna admit I get a little nostalgia fappy when I see people call themselves a DJ and they come out with a laptop and buttons to push. I'm like, motherfucker, where's your milk crates? I used to help this DJ out sometimes to go to a gig. Bro, he needed a van because you have 18 crates of records, all his speakers, everything. They didn't provide speakers and shit for you. You had to bring all that shit yourself. You had to bring your own table, your own turntables, your own mixer. They used to spend like a couple of grand on just equipment.
See, I'm going to play devil's advocate right there and everything, because that's not just a generational thing. That's a tech thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the resources. Like, today's DJs and everything, like, I don't know much about like the DJ world nowadays and everything, so I'm not going to make like a generalized like a viewpoint of it and everything. But I understand, like, there are some DJs that just like take the easy way. They press a button and everything. Yeah. However,
they mix it beforehand and just hit a playlist.
Right. However, there are some DJs that not only do like the turntables, but like, the new updated turntables and everything. Well, they don't need the milk crates, but also they take time to like, choose the songs, choose the beats, and like pretty much like basically craft like this playlist and everything. So there's a lot more work than a lot of people like get into it. Yeah,
that. It's just like I said, it's just the nostalgia part of me because it was a different sound, and I hate to sound like a fucking hipster. Where they go, it's a different sound when you hear vinyl. Because when a DJ. This dude I knew growing up, DJ Swan, it was a different session every time he played because he was mixing the records and he didn't. He would practice at home, but every time he scratched, it was a different every single time. It wasn't that he created it and then just played it every time he went out. It's like every time you could hear different scratches. So it was kind of like if you went to a concert, but the band changed up the lyrics or kind of the way they sang the song every time. So it was different every single time. It wasn't the same thing. And that's what I kind of liked about it because it was something new every time. Like an improv, I guess you could say. So that's what I liked about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dude, I went from having an 8-track to having cassettes. LPs to having cassettes to having to having CDs, then to having MP3s. So I've gone through it all. Yeah, and I like the MP3s because I can carry all the music I love, and I don't have to buy a CD for like 3 tracks on it. So don't get me wrong, I love the technology, how it's advanced, and I'm more power to them that they could take advantage of that. But if I gave you 2 turntables and a mixer, can you do something with it?
Right.
That's my thing. That's when you earned, in my opinion, the title of DJ. But again, like I said, I'm old, I guess you could say, and I just I don't want to say, back in the good old days. It was just a different time. When people, I think where the nostalgia fapping stops is when you say, that was a better time. I'm not saying it was better. I'm saying it was different.
Well, it's like you're not gatekeeping.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. You're saying like, okay, like this, I prefer this style of DJing as opposed to this style, and that's fine. That's cool and all.
I think mad props. I was just in Vegas, and was it James Aoki? Or I forget his name, but he's like a world famous DJ, this Japanese dude, and he's headlining a hotel in Vegas. Yeah. Back in the 80s, you would never saw a fucking DJ with his turntables and mixer headlining in Vegas. So he gets 1,000 people to fucking jump up and down, and he's performing on the stage. That dude, like, was it Dead Mouse? Yeah. What's the other one with the fucking
Skrillex?
Well, no, I'm talking about like Marshmello.
Marshmello, yeah.
And all these dudes. They can get a crowd of 1,000 people. That shit, that would have never happened back then.
Oh yeah, and that's great because DJs are getting their due, and they deserved it because they're the ones that laid down the beat. They're the ones that laid down the sound that created a whole revolution.
Exactly.
So and now that we mentioned the tech and everything, and this is what cracks me up about like nostalgia fappers, especially like the older generation, is that they'll talk all this shit about millennials, and everything, but they're talking shit about them on the technology that the zillennials and millennials created.
Yeah, but they talk shit about us too because the boomers are like, "Oh, you're hippity hop music back in the day." That's what they would say. All that loud, and then heavy metal. All that loud music. You can't even understand what they're saying.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, like you say we should treat you guys with respect and everything, but you're not respecting us because we created the forum that you guys can like make these like thoughts of and everything. And they say like, oh, these young people, they don't know how to do cursive. They don't know how to like balance a checkbook and everything. It's like, oh, bro, you still need to come to us when you need to open a PDF.
That's what I was going to say. I said, or an email. I bet you can't create an Excel spreadsheet.
Right. Hell, my mom, like for some reason, like she couldn't understand how to use an email, and she would have to use mine and everything for a while and everything. So you guys could talk all this shit about like, oh, we can't drive, what do you call it? Manual or stick and everything and whatnot.
Like, oh, can you help me use my cell phone? Because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right. Listen, it's like, okay, it doesn't make sense for us to use an obsolete technology today because what else are we going to use it for? Yep. You know what I'm saying and everything.
Oh, dude, I know some people that wish they still had a flip phone.
Oh yeah, and what's funny is that there's this one guy I knew, and he's a millennial. He's a elder millennial.
Right.
But he had a boomer mindset. And so he posted this lame ass meme. It was one of those like, let's talk shit about the young generation memes where it's like a lot of kids today don't know what this is. And it's the what do you call it? The stick shift like layout and everything. And a lot of his friends were calling him out. I was like, bro, you're a millennial, so this is your generation you're talking about.
Stupid.
And everything. And he, in the most smug way, he says, I'm not a millennial. A millennial is a state of mind. And I chimed in.
What?
Yeah. I was like, bro, a millennial, that's not a state of mind. It's an age range.
Yeah.
You could try to change the definition all you want, but it's not, you cannot change the year you were born.
No.
However, you do have a bit of a point that's a mindset because right now you act like a real boomer with your tone deaf meme, and let's not to mention your toxic masculinity and racist views.
Well, see, where he was wrong, and with this I'll take a quick break. There's the difference between being a millennial and being a hipster.
Yeah.
See, that's I think where he's getting confused because millennial is your age. A hipster can be any age, and that's where I think he was confusing the two because people think that only hipsters are millennials. Yeah. And that's not true.
Actually, the term hipster came from a long time ago, but we'll get into that after this break. Yeah.
Like beatnik. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you guys for continuing to hang out with us. We're talking today all things nostalgia.
Nice fab sound.
So anyway, I wanted to say something about people wax nostalgic about, in the 80s, the cartoons and Saturday morning and all this. All right. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes we don't realize that until we try to revisit it. I was trying to tell my kids how great the cartoons were when I was growing up and after school. And I sat down with them and Voltron, the Lions were on Hulu. We sat down. I was like, oh, watch, this is the greatest. I was like, wow.
It sucks.
This show kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Besides the robot and all the flashy colors and shit, when you sit there and you watch the story, and there was so many times in between, like one of the scenes, it took them like 10 minutes to climb up the side of this castle, and they showed all 10 minutes of them climbing. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Yeah. And then another one, He-Man. He-Man.
Oh, that did not age well at all.
Character designs are cool. And which is funny because conservatives are like, hey, man, men were men. I was like, bro, they were all gay.
Okay. I'm going to get into that just a bit, but go on, yeah.
Because think about it. It was a planet of half-naked, muscle-bound men, and they showed like 2 women.
Sounds like
no, 4. I think
sounds like Mr. Garrison's romance novel from South Park.
And then it's like in a different dimension with She-Ra with all women and 1 guy. What the fuck?
Hello, Smurfs.
Yeah, it's like, and by the way, if He-Man and She-Ra were brother and sister, how come she didn't live in the same universe as them?
And also, why did they act
her out?
And why do they act more like a couple than actual family?
Yeah, in the I guess in the mythos of it, they're supposed to be brother and sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
From Alabama,
right?
We don't get any listeners from Alabama, so
yeah. But you know what's funny is that. But yeah, you brought up a good point and everything. It's very interesting when we look at stuff that we grew up as kids, looking at them as adults, as through adult eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Because there have been some cartoons that I loved, like I would watch, or like live action shows I would watch, and when I'm looking back, like this is terrible. Like the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah.
So I love the
Spider-Man.
Oh, no.
You mean the 60s one?
No, not the 60s one. I'm talking about the 90s one.
Radio.
Spider-Man. Radio. Yeah.
Radioactive Spider-Man.
Yeah, when Peter, what was it, Greg Brady from the 90s Brady Bunch movies voiced Peter Parker.
Well, they were trying to what do you call, ride the coattails of the X-Men animated series, because that was such a hit.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so, but yeah, it was the show was great for its time and everything. Like it was combining like 2D, like traditional animation with 3D.
Right.
So when he did like the whole web swinging thing and everything.
Well, see, I've in my lifetime, I've seen like 5 different Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah.
The 66 one was yikes.
Yeah.
You look back on it now, it's like, I mean,
it
was
for its time,
And then in the 80s, we had Spider-Man and his amazing friends,
Iceman and Firestar.
Yeah. Which, fun fact, Firestar was actually created for the TV show. She's the original Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
because she was created for the TV show, and then they make her canon in the comic books.
So, but yeah, so I grew up on the animated series and everything.
Right.
It introduced me to a lot of Marvel characters, and that was the great thing about. That's at least one good thing you take away from these 90s shows was that it introduced like a lot of like Marvel characters that were not well known, that were not mainstream at the time. So it introduced me to Blade, Daredevil, who else?
On that Spider-Man show?
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange.
The and
Punisher.
Wong. And Punisher, yeah. So yeah. However, I watched it on Disney Plus just recently and everything, and good God, there are so many animation graphs. There's so many sound graphs too. Yeah. Well, but like for example, like it has a weird way of exposition dumping.
Yeah.
They'll like Daredevil, like when they introduce his character, he talks to himself about his origin story and everything, which is really fucking weird. Like he suits up, Matt Murdock. He says, "I have to save Parker and find the evidence to save him from being sent to prison. So I will become Daredevil." When I was a young kid, like who talks about their origin story while getting dressed? I don't, and everything.
Wait,
but
you don't?
No.
Oh shit, man.
But yeah, and then there'll be like some like voice and sound graphs, and like it'll show, like it's hard to describe it, but like it'll show a character, like let's say they're walking, and then they'll say something, but their mouth does not move to it. That's
like kind of like Skeletor, because if you go back and watch He-Man now, Skeletor, his mouth's just going up and down.
Yeah,
I got you, He-Man.
Right.
Well, I mean, dude had no lips. So.
Right. Now that you mentioned the X-Men animated series, that too, there's like it's a great show. Like it has like a lot of mature storytelling and everything, but there's some things that did not age about it, like the repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Like what was it? Previously on X-Men. I know people love to every episode starts with previous at X-Men.
I hate recaps.
But why does every episode have to have that? I
hate recaps.
But also
I can't stand recaps.
And right. But then there are some characters you realize are just completely fucking useless. Like Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Every episode. Faints.
Oh yeah.
Faints.
She's supposed to be so powerful they have to get rid of her.
She was like, if you ever watch an episode of Maury Povich when they do a paternity test, and they say you're not the father.
Not the father.
The mom would do the same thing, run, hit the ground.
Yeah.
Jean Grey was the original paternity test.
Dude. They showed the X-Men one time on Spider-Man and His Amazing
Friends.
Did, yeah. And for some reason, and they predicted Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine because in the episode, for some reason, Wolverine had an Australian accent, even though he was supposed to be from Canada. Hey, talk like this.
Oh, I think you might be thinking of Pride of the X-Men, right?
No, not Pride of the X-Men.
But you're talking about Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He spoke with an Australian accent.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't on Pride of the X-Men. Pride of the X-Men was the
pilot episode.
The pilot that they turned into the TV series, and revamped it. But anyway, in Spider-Man His Amazing Friends, there was that one, and then there was an episode. The one that sticks out to me, and I always remember, is called Seven Little Superheroes because it had Captain America in it, and that was the first time I seen Captain America in animated or anything besides the comic books since the 1960s show. You know? And the 1960s show, they used to literally cut out panels from the comic book and animate them.
Yeah,
and that was
they would just like have like the background move to make it look like they're flying.
The character would move. But anyway, but going back to now, people nostalgia fap a lot about the music from the 80s too, not just the movies and the TV shows, but it's also like shows like, real quick, just going back to TV shows like All in the Family.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, you can never get away with that today. I was like, yeah, because that was an ignorant time. That's a good thing we can't go back to that.
Yeah. That was that was the fucking Stone Ages, man.
And they don't realize that it was Norman. I think it was Norman Lear. Yeah. Well, whoever it was their take and their political message about, because again, Archie Bunker, even though he was the central character in the show, he was the consummate ignorant bigot.
Yeah.
And it was always him learning a lesson, you know? And that's what the premise of the show was. It wasn't about showing, bigoted Archie.
Well, a lot of people, a lot of people wearing their rose-tinted goggles, they always ignore that fact, or they're oblivious to it. It was that Archie Bunker is not a role model.
No.
He's a cautionary tale of like what happens when you're stuck in the past.
Like Al Bundy.
Yeah,
Al Bundy's another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these guys, like I noticed that it's a lot of like these men that love to like think they're tough guys and everything.
Right.
Gravitate towards those type of characters because they get to say what they want without consequence.
Right.
However, they ignore the fact there's a lot of consequences. Like, how many times did Archie Bunker get shat on?
Oh, exactly.
And also, how many times did Al Bundy suffer the consequences for his actions? At the end, what do you call it? End of Married with Children. Their lives still suck.
Yep.
And everything.
Here's the thing about Al Bundy, which it's kind of like you're supposed to believe that him and Peggy had Kelly when they were in high school. But they look like they were 40.
Yeah.
While they had a teenage daughter.
Right.
It's like, damn, y'all age like shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying.
It's another example of aging like shit.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, and I think Ed O'Neill was in his 40s in that show.
He was, yeah.
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 And he was supposed to be a teenager when he had his kid.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, man. you shit. It wasn't the shoe store. You just ate like shit. But again, going back to shows like All in the Family, The Jeffersons, what was the other one? Barney Miller. People at Sanford and Son, people miss the whole message behind it. It was all political messages showing that you can't be that way because you never get out of the fucking constant circle you're in.
Yeah.
Because Fred Sanford, he never really became anything. He just still owned the junkyard. I think at the end of the series, they tried to spin him off and make it like he owned it. No, it was actually Grady that got his own show.
Yeah.
But Fred never did anything. He was just a junk man.
Yeah.
And nobody ever progressed in that show.
And same thing with Good Times. You know,
Good Times.
You know what? Good Times. That's kind of a meta type of show if you think about it now. Because you remember how we were just talking about how people love to wax nostalgic.
Yeah.
But ignoring the plight, poverty, and all that horrible shit that was going on. Good Times, when you think about the theme song or the title, it's definitely like they're in denial of the fact that their lives are shit.
Well, it wasn't denial. It was honestly, it was more of like the acceptance of your situation and still finding the silver lining in that. Because I grew up poor, welfare, food stamps, and in a rough neighborhood, but we never saw it as like a bad thing. It was just what we were with and we were happy about it. Did we want to progress and come out of the hood and be better? Yeah, of course. But we never saw it as like a crutch. It was our childhood. We made the best of our situation. Everybody pulled together and have a block party and people would barbecue and we had a community garden and everybody pulled together because we didn't have a lot, but we had each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it shows. Like, it shows that even though you got it hard, you got to be happy where you are because you're never going to progress unless you're happy with the situation you're in.
See, I get where you're coming from with that. On the other hand, though, it could be seen as like a coping mechanism.
Right.
You know, good times, temporary layoffs, good times. Wait. Boss, wait. This isn't the flex you're looking for, fam.
Yeah. Ain't we lucky we got them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Wait, we're lucky that we have like credit ripoffs and everything.
We lucky we had our father die in a...
Right. So like, okay, I get like feeling optimistic about like what you have and everything and trying to make it to the day. But at the same time, it's like, that's a little bit of like denial that you're living under and everything.
You know what show don't get enough love? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm about to say, but like, you know, that's right there. That's a double-edged sword right there.
Yeah.
Like appreciate what you got to try to move on out of your main, like, you know, your current like life and everything. But at the same time, like singing about it and trying to like look at it as like everything's gonna be fine and everything. There has to be a little bit of like reality hitting. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, but it was also a political message of how the strife of the person of color. You know, and I'm just like, dude, it's a project. Where my Puerto Ricans at? We ain't got no love in there. We need our own show where we in the projects.
Yeah, you had a couple. It was like what was it?
Chico and the Man.
Come
on, that's all we had. We didn't get nothing else. And we were the next door neighbor on fucking Sanford and Son.
Yeah,
we were talking like this, and I got a chicken and a rooster. You know, But anyway, what I was saying was that the message was that be happy in the situation you're in because that's the only way you'll ever progress. Is that you can't be mad at what you're at, but you can make the best of it. And that's what the message was behind Good Times. And I'm cool with that. But it showed that they still did want to progress. I mean, remember the daughter wanted to do good in school. Michael he wanted to go to college.
Right. And JJ was an artist.
JJ was an artist, and they did want to progress. You know, and it was a good show. I mean, fun fact, it actually technically is a spinoff of All in the Family too. Because
pretty much like, I mean, before the MCU and all that, Norman Lear had his own universe.
Yeah, because
the Jeffersons spinned off from
All in the Family. It was All in the Family. That spun off into Archie's Place, which was a continuation after Edith died. Then there was the Jeffersons, and then the Jeffersons also All in the Family spun off Maude. Then Maude had a maid who was named Florida, and Florida spun off onto Good Times.
See, honestly, I feel that some of Norman Lear's stuff actually did age well because he was a progressive thinking dude.
You can watch them today and they still got a deep message.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and they also take on topics that are still like relevant to this day, like Maude. For example, like, you know, they tackled abortion, menopause.
Yeah.
Good Times. They still talk about like how the system was designed to disenfranchise black people.
Bigotry against homosexuality on Maude. They also went against that. They had that. And you know who played the kind of homophobe on that show? Mr. Drummond.
Oh, I can see that
from Different Strokes.
See, that show did not age well at all. We're gonna
No, it did not.
Let's face it, folks. Like some of your favorite '80s shows or '70s shows, they suck.
Dude, it was about a rich dude with white guilt that took in his maid's 2 black children.
Why didn't you take him in when their mom was alive?
Because she was his maid.
Right. She could have been a live-in maid. Like, you know, it's a big enough
the little
penthouse.
Old white lady he had.
Right.
Remember he had the housekeeper?
You mean the what do you call it? Charlotte Way?
Charlotte Ray. First it was this other little old lady.
Yeah.
No, first it was Charlotte Ray. Then Charlotte Ray actually spun off on people don't know that one either. See, all these nostalgia fappers, they don't realize that a lot of these stories spun off because Facts of Life is actually a spinoff of not Good Times, fucking Different Strokes, because Mrs. Garrett was their maid.
Yeah.
Charlotte Ray. She left to go run the school.
Yeah.
And that's what became Facts of Life, because there's actually an episode, they call it Backdoor Pilot, where the girls from Facts of Life were on Different Strokes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did that for like Living Dolls as well.
They did.
Yeah. For Who's the Boss.
Bro, you talk about having a good career when you're young. The brother on Willis, his girlfriend was Janet Jackson.
Oh, she was the, what was it? She was Penny.
No, Penny was on Good Times. She played Penny on Good Times, who was a victim of child abuse that Walona then adopted. And which, by the way, no, never mind. It's a different actress. So then was also on Different Strokes, and she played a girl that went to school at Willis. But she went on to become the megastar Janet Jackson, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. And he became Todd something. Yeah, he became nothing.
Yeah,
his poor guy.
I mean, like he
got hooked on drugs and all that shit.
A lot, like honestly, like a lot of like the lives of
80s
like the
childhood actors.
Yeah,
no, but dude, 80s
we could do a whole topic about that
God.
shit. Yeah,
the hot mess of the 80s.
Yeah. So I'll actually, you know what? I'm going to go into the 90s a bit since we're going to talk about shows that did not age well. I'm going to just straight up say it.
We'll end up on the 90s and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Boy Meets World.
Oh boy,
that show's fucking terrible. And a lot of people my age love to wax poetic about it.
Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a terrible show. Like, it was so... oh my God.
Well, see, he is the epitome of the definition of what I say friend zone that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because he solely stayed Topanga's friend with the ulterior motive of eventually having a romantic relationship.
Well, they said that's the thing. Like a lot of people love to see Corey Matthews, Ben Savage's
the
character
underdog.
As the underdog, as like the every kid and everything. He was a piece of shit.
Well, what was he? What did he have to be upset about? He was a middle class family in
Pennsylvania
with decent, well-to-do parents.
Yeah,
a great mentor in Professor Feeney. Or Mr. Feeney?
Mr. Feeney, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great mentor. He had a fucking ride or die best friend.
Oh, yeah, Sean Hunter. Yeah.
Who he went through shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
He went through some shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he is not like, he's really not a relatable character, honestly.
No.
And no, he's what like white America sees as the every kid. You know what I'm saying? And so, honestly...
all wholesome?
Yeah,
He wasn't wholesome if you think about it.
No. He was very problematic. He was very self-absorbed. He was selfish. Yeah. He was an extremely toxic person. And don't get me started on his brother, Eric. Eric went from like the cool older brother to being
an idiot.
To a full-blown fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
And
because there was a formula in the 90s that you had to have a stupid sibling.
Yeah.
And who I think is the nucleus of that was Blossom.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Six?
Joey Lawrence. Joey Lawrence.
And Six.
Well,
they always treated Six like she was a dipshit.
Because Joey Lawrence went from playing a wholesome, nice, sweet kid in, what was the show? God damn it. With
Give Me a Break.
Give Me a Break.
Yeah.
And Nell Carter adopted him.
Yeah.
To then he was actually the Oliver of
he was, yeah, because he came in like
Oliver.
later. Yeah.
They needed cuteness because the young girl grew up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he became then the idiot brother. First he was the cool brother in the first couple of episodes, and then they had the recovering drug addict brother, which was unusual for the time. And then all of a sudden he's like, whoa, he becomes a fucking moron.
Oh yeah, and he becomes like the white Urkel. Because like whoa became a huge catchphrase and everything. He was the heartthrob, so he'd be at like MTV Spring Break and all that shit. But
he was the I think he was the prototype for Joey from Friends.
Pretty much. But at least Joey had some depth to him.
Yeah.
But
he tried.
Yeah, but also, going back to Boy Meets World and everything, I think that show is like a prime example of nostalgia fapping because there were some good parts about the show. They dealt with like some serious topics and everything, but at the same time, a lot of that shit did not age well at all. Like for example, like you know how like people say like their favorite character, maybe like Barney from How I Met Your Mother, or this character and everything. I look at those people like, no, you would hate them. Like a lot of people would say like, oh, I would love to be friends with Eric from Boy Meets World. No, you would try to avoid that guy because when you look at Eric, when he became a dumbass, he became an asshole. Like he became so obnoxious. Like there was one part where he snatched food out of a dude's hand and he just started going like ham on it. He also sexually assaulted a character in one episode.
Wow.
So here's what happens.
Yeah, but Corey had a bully, so he was okay.
Oh my God.
Wasn't it the fat kid from and he ain't fat no more, but
right. But no, it was like Ethan Suplee.
Yeah, the dude from My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the soft, like the good-hearted, soft-spoken guy.
Yeah, but first he was the bully.
Yeah, but those were the most suburban, whitewashed bullies. Not whitewashed, but white bread bullies ever.
Wasn't his father played by Vader? Big Bang Vader.
Yeah. Okay, so the first bully was hey, we have Fonzie at home type of guy. And it's like, this guy's supposed to be a threat? Like, are you kidding me? If he was in prison, he would end up like Sally Can't Dance from Con Air. And then he leaves, and then comes a new bully. It was Ben from Parks and Rec, Adam Scott. Adam Scott, like, don't get me wrong.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That was his bully?
Yeah. He's the most unthreatening looking dude ever.
He looks like he couldn't kick his own ass.
I'm saying. You're gonna tell me that this guy's a threat, that this guy could like kill you.
By the way, I did see a good movie with him though, Little Evil. That shit was funny.
What was it called?
It's called Little Evil.
Little Evil?
Yeah, it's kind of like a parody of The Omen.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. But I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, he's supposed to be our bully. You got to be a massive fucking wuss to be like, if this guy's your bully, like, because honestly, Corey looks like he could kick Adam Scott's ass. And
that's not saying a lot though.
But I'm saying that's supposed to be the bully. Yeah. So there's some parts that did not age well. But yeah, going back to Eric being
it was a show of first world problems.
Yeah. Oh, it totally was.
Except for Sean.
Oh no! Seriously, I wish that Sean was the main character because all the shit.
It would have been a better show.
Yeah, because all the shit he went through. Now that's Boy Meets World.
Yep.
He was dealing with the real world. Like, his father was an alcoholic that abandoned him and his mother.
Yep.
He didn't get to meet his birth brother until like they were in college.
Yep.
He went.
Well, he felt like nobody loved him. Like he didn't fit in anywhere.
Right. Honestly, I would love to see his character arc was like, honestly, it was the Sean show to me.
Yeah. I hate the fact that they wrote off that teacher, the sympathetic teacher.
Oh, Mr. Turner?
Yeah, they took him in. They kind of just wrote him off.
Honestly, I felt like Sean needed Mr. Turner.
Yeah.
Sean needed Mr. Feeney more than Corey needed Mr. Feeney and everything. Because honestly, the big difference between Sean and Corey, other than their whole like backgrounds and everything, Sean listened. He listened to Mr. Feeney.
Yeah.
And when he would slip up, he would own up to it. Corey didn't.
Nope.
But going back to Eric being like, a rapist.
Oh my God.
Well, he was because, so there was a Halloween episode. It was supposed to be a spoof of like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer and everything.
Right.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt guest starred in there as Jennifer Love Pfefferman and everything.
Wow.
So
what a stretch.
Yeah, I'm right. And so Eric meets her in the hallway. Oh, I'm Jennifer Love Pfefferman. And he's like, okay. And just straight up makes out with her.
What?
Like pins her up against.
What?
Yeah. Not even a whole icebreaker. Not even develop it. Just straight up max on her and everything. And this is the boy. And this is the people that say, oh, I wish he was my brother and all that. See, that show is an example of nostalgia blinders because it's just like a lot of problematic characters and they get away with murder. And they also had a spin-off show called Girl Meets World, where it was about with the daughter, Topanga and Corey's daughter. Honestly, I feel like most of the nostalgia is just people that are just in love with Topanga, which I understand. Topanga was one of my crushes. She's
your Alyssa Milano.
She was
because Alyssa Milano is the same age as I am, and I used to watch Who's the Boss for her.
Yeah, and Topanga, like Danielle Fishel, is the same age as myself and everything. Right. So yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah,
she also in Leah Remini.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
But no, like, and that show, Girl Meets World and everything, same type of problems as well that the original show had and everything. Like this weird, like, tone deafness and lack of self-awareness, But yeah, and like that's another problem with nostalgia fapping is that we get all of these remakes, all of these reboots and continuations, but they missed the point of what made the original great. And they also wax over some of the stuff that the original shows were completely oblivious to.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it goes on and on like that because, there's, I don't know. It's sad to say, I didn't watch too much TV in the 90s. I was adulting then. I hate to use that term, but I pretty much was.
Yeah.
And that's when I had started getting married, having kids.
Yeah. Because I was a kid when you were becoming like,
my wrestling career.
Adult.
It was in my 20s,
yeah.
And my wrestling career had started, so I was too busy. I really didn't. And then once I had my oldest daughter, it was all just like cartoons and animated shit. And all that. The only time I got TV to myself was to watch Raw.
Yeah,
and Nitro on Monday nights.
Which I felt that the birth of your firstborn caused the Nitro the ratings. Because didn't you say that it happened during an episode of Nitro?
Yeah.
That,
it was Raw. Raw had just gone off the air.
Yeah,
and she went into labor.
Right.
That was
you broke the 83 weeks.
Going back real quick, you know what's another thing about the 90s that people wax nostalgic on is the music, the grunge.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like the grunge era is starting to slowly come back where people are trying to dress like that. And I see these people, I'm like, God, they're trying so hard because it was my thing. I was in high school. I started wearing the cut-off jean shorts, combat boots, leather jacket, long hair, a flannel tied around my waist with a no-sleeve shirt on. And so that was my look, you know? But the thing is that also people look at it through nostalgia blinders or fapping too, because Nirvana, Kurt Cobain was an amazing songwriter, but some of his shitty guitarist.
Yeah.
You know, the real genius in that band was Dave Grohl, but he sat in the background.
He was the Paul McCartney to Cobain's John Lennon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they were, I guess, edgy for the time. And because Gen X needed something like that, because that's why punk was so big in the 80s, we needed that thing.
They were your Beatles.
Exactly, to help us express our rage. And that's what Nirvana was. But if you think about, like, one of the songs, he says, rape me.
Yeah.
Rape me. I'm like, he's talking about rape. What the fuck were we thinking? You know, and that's the thing. It was the time, like, my girlfriend hates this band, Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam. And Pearl Jam is a reference to sperm. I don't know if you know that.
I did not, actually.
Yeah, because, you know, sperm kind of looks like pearls.
The pearl necklace,
Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
So,
yikes.
Yeah. It's actually talking about spunk.
Wow.
So, and their first album talks about fucking school shootings. All
Jeremy.
Kinds of, Jeremy. Yeah. All kinds of crazy shit. And it was a struggle. And I think what happened was with Gen X at that time, we were young adults and we were still struggling with our mental health issues and our abandonment and maybe borderline sometimes child abuse from the 80s by our parents. And those songs were the rage that we had, because if you listen to most of Pearl Jam songs, they're all about abuse and about mental illness and about school shootings from a kid that felt like he was the outsider, the outcast. And so that's and it's a sign of the time. But I'm not going to say, oh, that was better, because looking at back now, it's like, damn, we were that fucked up.
Yeah.
We were that fucked up.
Yeah. The same thing happened like on the hip hop side and everything, because like during the 90s was the East Coast, West Coast war and everything. And a lot of people don't realize this, but that was a whole fucking PR thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people love to, like, you know, wax poetic about that, saying like, oh man, can you imagine like all like the good tunes that came out at that time? You know, remember what happened at the Source Awards when, you know, they were calling each other out.
Shootout?
Right. I was like, dude, that was not
the shootout at the
East
Awards.
Coast, West Coast hip hop war was not a good time for hip hop, because it just like fed into the stereotypes of black people seen as violent.
And conspiracy theorists a little bit. I think the whole thing was made up, the East Coast, West Coast battle. And unfortunately, just like the MAGA movement now, some people took it too far.
Oh, they did. Absolutely.
And that's why, because I don't think it was anybody from the rival production company that shot Biggie, shot Tupac, shot Jam Master Jay. Yeah. I think it was these fans or fanatics of them that said, yeah, fuck them, and took it into their own hands.
Honestly, I've always felt that it was, and we could do a topic about this as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But real quick, I believe it was like orchestrated by Suge Knight and Diddy, because those two are the most ruthless businessmen ever. Well, and I use businessman loosely for Suge Knight because he was a thug.
Oh yeah,
straight up.
Who made the most money and became the biggest thing after Biggie died?
Diddy.
Yeah, with that shitty ass. Oh god, he sucks as a rapper.
And also like who made a lot of money off Tupac's memory?
Yep.
Suge Knight.
Yep.
And so a lot of people, they love to like reminisce about the East Coast, West Coast war, but they also miss the point of like the lyrics of like the artists who rapped those about those times and everything, about like, you know, Biggie, about like Tupac and everything. They were singing about some real shit, especially Tupac.
Tupac. Tupac was more conscious, but he made it into like gangsta shit.
Yeah.
And then Biggie was all about the struggle and how to come up. That he even says, I use the drug game to get me into the hip hop, so that way I could excel and come out of the hood from where I was. That's what his story was.
And so now, like, they always look at like at that, and the movie Scarface from like,
you mean every time MTV has
right.
Cribs,
right?
A rapper has a poster of Scarface.
They always look at that, the hyper idealized look at that life. And it's like, dude,
it's not. He dies at the end,
right? And it's motherfucker. It's not an overnight thing. Like Biggie, Tupac, and a lot of those artists and everything had to work their way up, and it took years and everything. But also, like, a lot of people love to like say like when it comes to Tupac, that California Love was like their favorite song.
California Love.
I've always hated that song because honestly, like, it made Tupac into like a gangster cartoon, and it also is straight away from like what made him a great MC in the first place.
My opinion, his best song, Dear Mama.
Mine is I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto.
Yeah, that one was good too. But you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, Dear Mama. Yeah. But no, it's like that with music, with grunge, with hip hop, and everything. It's like a lot of folks like gloss over like the seriousness of like the music, the lyrics, and all that. Yeah. But it's also I was going to mention this real quick as well, and everything is that there's a lot of gatekeeping with the nostalgia fappers.
Oh, absolutely.
Because remember when Stranger Things season 4, that episode where Eddie is playing that one song from Metallica. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Enter Sandman?
Not Enter Sandman.
Oh, Master of Puppets?
Yes.
Yeah, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, and so you know, Stranger Things is very popular with millennials, zillennials, all sorts of like age groups, but especially with like the young crowd and everything.
Metallica before they became a dad band.
Yeah, right. And because like and so like you have all these kids like learning about like these like old school bands, also through TikTok as well. Like a lot of old music is becoming discovered by the by the younger generation. No, exactly. I think that's awesome. But then you have these old heads that are so offended, like, you never knew about them. I remember when I was at their concerts, blah blah blah, and everything. It's like, dude, who gives a shit how who cares about how they discovered them? The important thing is they did. Yeah. And instead of being so pissed off and gatekeeping about it, how about you share some stuff with them? How about you say like, hey, I remember when I saw them in concert. How about you become a storyteller about them? Because obviously they want to learn more about these bands.
I'm going to give you a prime example of that. My kid one day was like playing, we were in the car and Africa came on by Toto. They go, ooh, I love this song. And they turned it up. I'm like, what? How you know this song? I was like, what? And we just started talking, vibing to it,
Yeah.
That's how the lyrics go.
Yep. Down in Africa. Yeah. My niece, she's into old school anime. Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, and everything. And
Yu Haka what?
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Their old man hearing.
Well, my kid right now is into old school anime, into the, was it Mizuki? Was it that dude name?
Oh,
like Spirited Away and
Hayato Miyazaki.
Yeah, bless you.
But no, so I remember like visiting my sister and my niece and everything a couple years ago, and my niece and I we would just talk anime, and I would tell her like some cool facts about like old school anime. So I didn't want to gatekeep. I didn't want to say, oh, you don't know shit about fuck or anything about that, because that's my niece. It's like she wants to learn about like the old school. So as a proponent of the old school, I'm gonna teach her and everything.
You sat in your chair and went, "Come, young one."
Pretty much, like Grandpa, like Abe Simpson, like when they're in front of like the lemon tree, like, "Hey, that old guy is talking." And
well, it was like Dusty Rhodes said, "Come here, sit under the learning tree."
Yeah,
the learning tree. No, it was also another thing with my kid was we were talking about. You were in the car, and she's like, "Play September." I was like, "What? How you what?" And it was,
you remember,
and I'd like to say it was my influence, but they came about it because this age group is appreciating different things from different times.
Well, it's also the memes. The memes are like a great way to like educate folks on like the past and everything, because they they point out how outdated stuff is and like how weird it was.
Right
now that you pull back the nostalgia veil and everything.
Yeah.
So there's that. But also it's just like,
Speaking real quick of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
My grandson was born on the 21st of September.
Yeah, I pointed that out to you.
Yeah. So we were talking yesterday with my daughter, and they're like, oh, she wants to start planning his first birthday already.
Yeah.
I said, why not do an Avatar?
Well, there you go.
Well, she's like, why? I'm like, because Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. She's like, you're stupid. I was like, what? Avatar has Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right.
No, but I mean, it's the thing is like the 90s, I'm going to tell you, was a good time for music. Like people wax nostalgic about or wax poetic about the 80s music. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was the birth of hip hop. You had, like the Sugar Hill Gang, and you had Run DMC, Kool Moe Dee, LL Cool J. It was great.
Yeah.
Was it Fab Five Freddy and the Furious Five? You had all of that shit. Houdini. Yeah, I don't know if you remember.
Of course I remember Houdini.
Friends, diggity dang dang.
But Furious Five is the Grandmaster Flash.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was the Fat Boys. Fat Boys got so big they had their own movie.
Yeah. Oh, Disorderlies.
2 movies, I think. But anyway.
Yeah.
Disorderlies. Then. And the music was good too at the time. They had that synth pop, and then you had guys like the Flock of Seagulls and shit like that. But they all forget the 90s too. I mean, think about it. The 80s had synth rock, hair metal, like Poison, Bon Jovi, all those guys, Cinderella. And then you move slowly into the 90s, and the Metallica became a big thing. And the fun thing about Metallica was they were known for being a band that never had a music video or were played on the radio. Then all of a sudden they sold out, quote unquote, by their fans. Oh, you sold out. Yeah. And you know what James Hetfield said to that? Yeah, we sold out Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden. So it's like, we got to make money, yo. We can't live off of, what fucking t-shirt sales. So then in the 90s, Kurt Cobain, I mean, they call him kind of like the godfather of the movement because he kind of was.
I mean, he was the face of it.
Nirvana was the first band to really make it big in that Seattle grunge thing. Then after them came Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, where it became more depressing, I guess you can say. But again, it's going back to the Gen X dealing with the mental illness and shit and not being having a coping mechanism, and theirs was through songwriting. Yeah. And then hip hop started to evolve too. There was a time where hip hop became very bubblegum. Yeah. i.e. Fresh Prince.
Well, yeah. Well, there was Fresh Prince. There was Usher. Like it was like the very white friendly type of acts and everything.
And that kid, the one with the college. God, what the hell was his name? Come on, you got to help me out here.
College.
Yeah, he was. Oh God, what the fuck was his name? Come on. He was like a Fresh Prince also. He was like a college student and a graduate or damn, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll remember. Oh, Whoop! No, not Whoop. There it is. I forgot. But anyway, but it was acts like that, and it was becoming more a little bit bubblegum. It lost kind of some of its edge because like you said, suburban kids were now starting to get into hip hop.
Right. Well, see, and the thing is like I don't feel like the genre lost its edge just because, like you said, there's several genres, like subgenres of hip hop or any musical genre.
No, I just mean in the 90s, some of it lost its edge.
Right. Well, I mean, from a mainstream standpoint, I would say yes because the bubblegum stuff was getting the most attention, but the socially conscious stuff was more underground.
Oh yeah. No, it was still out there, but it wasn't getting play like on. Put it this way, Run DMC did a fucking duet with Aerosmith. Yeah. Did that tell
Walk
you
This Way?
It became safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But as music evolved and everything, like music, that's another like a nostalgia. What was that?
I remember Young MC.
Oh, Young MC.
Yeah. He was safe
bust
too.
To move.
Yeah.
You want it. You got it.
He was safe.
Yeah. So was what was his name? Skilo. I wish I was a bit taller.
Wish I was a baller. Wish I was had a girl. She looked good. I would call her. Yeah. I remember that.
But yeah. So I noticed like a lot of folks like with music and everything. That's like one of the biggest old generation view versus new generation view and everything, because I used to be like really strict when it came to hip hop and everything, so like I would like reject of like a lot of new school stuff and everything, but as I gotten older I decided to be like a little more open-minded and see what they're all about and everything. So there's going to be some acts that I do not like straight up. Like I'm not a fan of like the mumble rap and everything, right? But that's what sells.
See, my thing is all these they're all little. They come out now. Little Xanax and little this one and little that one. It's like, SoundCloud gave them all a voice. Yeah, and it really shouldn't have. Yeah, some of them. Don't get me wrong. Some of them came out of that. Like, who came out of SoundCloud?
Little Pip.
Well, Post Malone.
Post Malone, yeah.
Khalid. Not DJ Khaled. Khalid, who goes, the one who goes, something, something, my location.
Oh, yeah.
And he came out of it.
But but honestly, I'm not gonna dump on like the entire new generation because that's just like narrow-minded. But you know, like there's some artists that I don't dig, but there's some really good artists that like that actually they're really good. Like hell, like they bring in that old school flavor. Like
exactly.
J. Cole, Post Malone. Post Malone, I dig. You know,
dude. Okay, at first I didn't really care for Post Malone because the first song I saw by him was that one that he's out in the desert, something like Happy Birthday or some shit like that. I don't even remember the name of it. I was like, this dude looks like he smells like pee.
Yeah.
He looked homeless. I was like, I wanted to give him change.
It was the look that turned you off first.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. As soon as I looked at him, I was like, you look homeless, bro.
Yeah.
Do something with yourself.
Yeah.
But then I've seen videos of him being like one of the sweetest people, and like he's super friendly and interactive with his friends.
And he's got soul, man. Let me tell you, he did a cover of Return of the Mac that was just beautiful.
So, you know who's actually a recent like artist that my daughter adores, and I got into a little of his music. It's like, okay, I like his vibe. Youngblood.
Yeah.
That English kid.
Yeah.
His music actually pretty good. It ain't bad.
And
now Machine Gun Kelly go fuck himself.
Yeah. Oh, he got destroyed by Eminem so hard he went to another genre.
He moved genre.
Yeah. That's like moving cities,
bro. And they're like, everybody's go, oh, he got Megan Fox. Okay, so
and so did Brian Austin Green.
So did the kid from 90210.
Right.
What's your point?
But anyway, yeah. So like I don't like to like shit on an entire generation because there's some stuff that are great. There's some stuff that I don't like, but it's like I hate to be one of those. Oh man, music isn't the way it is nowadays, and it's the same thing that I look at movies, at TV shows, at cartoons, and everything.
Everything, dude.
I don't want to be one of those. And this ain't like how it was back when I was a kid.
Well, because people forget the word evolve,
exactly,
progress. You know, and a lot of people, especially like these right wingers and all this shit. And I hate to put politics into it, but it's true.
Oh yeah,
they're like, oh, everything's becoming PC. Or hear me out.
Yeah.
We're becoming more accepting of others and don't want to offend them.
Yeah.
And want them to feel included. I want more people to watch my shit. I want more people to listen to my music.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and give everyone something and not objectify or go against something else because I want to include those people in my shit too. Why? Because I need to make money.
Or like the people that say like, oh man, kids nowadays are so soft. Or maybe they actually have, they have the strength to become more vulnerable and talk about their issues, but also they don't want to fucking give themselves a concussion just by playing at the playground and everything.
Well, exactly. It was just like I've seen a lot of memes where they put side by side, like one was Harry Styles in a dress. Yeah. And then another one was some dude from like the 1940s or whatever. Oh, what men used to be, what men are now. Christ, and I'm like, right. I said, so you want to go back to the day when fathers used to beat the gay out of their sons? Yeah. I was like, is that what it is? And I said, because so many guys were undercover. I mean, you got guys like not Rock Hudson, Anthony Perkins, people like that.
Well, Rock Hudson, I think as well.
Rock Hudson, they were gay. Yeah. But they were manly men. Yeah. Because they had to show that and project that. Men nowadays are just in touch with who they really are. Yeah. And it's not that they're soft, dude. I watched this video. This guy was gay, and some dude tried to confront him. He knocked him the fuck out. Oh yeah! I was like, just because I'm gay, don't mean I'm soft. I will fuck you up. I will fuck you up in a dress. How embarrassing would you be? How embarrassed would you be then?
See, toxic masculinity is a form of nostalgia fapping.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know how we just said like nostalgia fapping glosses over some stuff and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like they say, like back in the day, where men were men. You had Ziggy Stardust. You had fucking the glam rock.
Freddie Mercury.
Good God. A fucking Boy George.
Come on, dude.
Poison. Look at all Poison. You yourself mistake them for women.
Well, the first time, the story was my brother showed me the album. He goes, oh, this is what, because I heard it playing. I was like, oh, it's cool. Who's this? I was like, and he shows me the album cover, and I'm like, oh, those girls are hot. He was like, they're guys. I'm like, oh, well, there you go.
Right. Straight up.
Brett Michaels straight up looked like a girl.
I'm saying. And what's his face? Pete Burns from Dead or Alive?
Oh, my God.
I thought that was Demi Moore. I was like, hey.
What about the dude from Judas Priest?
He was a leather queen.
He had all that S&M gear on.
So don't give me that whole shit about like when men were men.
And every band you listen to in the 80s, the guy had long feathered hair.
Yeah. Dude, I was just reminded of to Wong Fu and everything when that racist homophobic sheriff was like to the farmer and they're like, remember back when this country was founded, how our forefathers they'd look at this place in disgrace, and the farmer was like, well, I tell you one thing about the founding fathers. They sure look good in them wig and heels.
They wore pantyhose and high heels.
They were what we would call capri pants.
Capri pants.
And you're going to talk about when wigs. Men were men?
And powdered wigs. Come on, dude.
Yeah. So that's nostalgia fapping right there. Yeah. And that's also toxic nostalgia there. Because let me tell you something. The people that these boomers and all that they call soft are stronger than they will ever be, because at least they have the strength to be vulnerable, to get the conversation going.
I agree, because if a dude like Harry Styles can wear a dress out in public and be like, I give no fucks, he's stronger than you are, because back in your day, guys used to hide their sexuality. He's out here going, what? Say something.
Same thing with Timothy Chalamet. Like these are sort of strong individuals and everything. The ones who are soft are the ones who are talking shit about them, because you're the same people that lose their shit when somebody say, I prefer these they or them pronouns.
Oh yeah, I hate when people go, he goes, I don't believe in pronouns. So you don't speak English? I was like, motherfucker, there's pronouns every day you use. When you go, there she is. Guess what? That's a fucking pronoun. It's just so fucking stupid, dude.
Yeah.
I just think people just need to. It's like I made the other day. I don't know if you saw it. I was like, you know how you'll be happier? Mind your own fucking business.
It's true.
I was like, you talk about when It's funny because people go. It was somebody I saw post. They go, your triggers are not my problem. I said, so you posting this shows that you're triggered.
Yeah.
I was like, because their triggers are triggering you.
Unlike these snowflakes, I don't care, but you're showing that you're.
But you sure care because you just said something about it. I was like, you know how you can show that their triggers ain't your problem?
By shutting up.
Shut the fuck up and mind your business.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it.
What's the first rule of Apathy Club?
Yeah. It's shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
Mind your business.
Yeah.
I was like, I always tell people that. Like I told my ex-wife, because she was quote unquote Christian, and she used to be like, those people going to hell, those people this, those people that, they shouldn't be gay. I was like, how does it? I was like, every time you feel that way about somebody, I always give the advice to people. Every time you feel that way about somebody who's gay, somebody who's transgender, somebody who's whatever, ask yourself one question: how does it affect your life?
Yeah.
How does it affect your life in your day to day? How does it affect you? Oh, well, it doesn't. Then shut the fuck up. I was like, simple.
I'm gonna end on like a example of positive.
Yeah, of course. And we gotta end on positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I hope we could do a topic about this and everything, a show about this topic. But I'm gonna an example of positive nostalgia. Is the I Love the series from VH1.
I love the
I love the 80s.
I love the
90s. 70s and everything. And that came at a great time because the first I Love the 80s came out in like the winter of 2002.
Right.
We were shortly right after 9/11. So the whole trajectory, everything changed after that day. And so with the news of the axis of evil, Osama bin Laden, the terrorist threat levels and everything, we were on edge. So VH1 brings us some serotonin, courtesy of the BBC, because a lot of people don't know this, that the I Love the series was based on the BBC.
No shit.
Yeah, it was called the I Love the 1980s and whatnot. But the BBC, their approach was a lot more serious, a lot more documentary feeling.
Right.
The VH1 I Love the was a little bit more comedy and everything. Campy and everything. So what made the shows great was that it was like time capsule. It was also educational because it introduced young folks to like the 70s, the 80s. Because, I was in high school when that series first launched. And a lot of people my age, we remember those shows. And so there's some stuff from those shows that did not age well in terms of jokes and everything. Like, for example, the comedian Greg Fitzsimmons, he talks about masturbating a lot. Like when they're talking about like, singers and everything, like Samantha Fox and all that.
I had her poster on my wall.
Right. It's like you could make a drinking game of every time he says, I used to masturbate to her and everything.
Dude, we were watching, my girlfriend and I were watching a show and the kid had posters on his wall, and I said, I've never really had posters of women on my wall, and I said there was only two. Oh, because he had like Playboy, and then she talked about her ex-husband, how he had like Stacy Keibler on his wall and all that.
I did too.
I'm like, the only two posters I ever had in my childhood, because I never really simped on women, I guess you could say. It was Alyssa Milano, and she was fully dressed. She was in a pair of jeans and a hockey jersey, because it was about the time she was dating that hockey player. And it was a New Jersey Devils jersey on. And then was Samantha Fox, where she was sitting in a swimming pool. And in lingerie. For some reason, she swims in lingerie.
As you do.
And those are the only thing I really had. But that's funny that you say that. It's like, oh yeah, I jerked off to her. Lead it forward. Yep, that turned.
I mean, when you look at Greg Fitzsimmons, he looks like the type of guy that would say that shit out loud. Anyway,
to me, you know who I had the biggest crush on as far as female singers of the '80s? And you're gonna think it's crazy. There was 4 of them. No, three. It was, and they're complete opposites. Joan Jett, right? Belinda Carlisle, and Susanna Hoff.
So you had the punk, the pop punk, and the straight up pop.
The pixie.
Yeah,
because Susanna Hoff was the pixie because she was little and petite.
True. Yeah, but I did have the wall of like my crushes and everything.
Stacy Keibler, Lita.
Stacy Keibler, Lita, Trish Stratus. But like my wall was just like a collage of like all like the '90s crushes. So Jennifer Love Hewitt. Beyonce, Destiny's Child.
Oh God.
What was it? Sarah Michelle Gellar, Dixie Chicks. And
real quick story about something like that.
Topanga, of course.
Did you said a collage?
Yeah.
So when I turned 18, I moved out and started living with my childhood best friend. Well, one of my childhood best friends and his cousin. So it's 3 guys living alone, and it was so small, the apartment, we shared a bedroom. It was a giant bedroom, but we shared it. And one day I get home from work, and these motherfuckers, I walk in, and they're making a collage on one of the walls, on the biggest wall we had in the room.
Yeah.
Of all the dirty magazines we had.
See, I didn't do the dirty magazines.
We had a stack of dirty magazines.
Yeah.
And they sat there and cut out the women and did like a giant collage. It looked like wallpaper. I'm like, I walk in, I go, the fuck are you guys doing?
Right.
I'm like, what the hell?
See, I kept it PG. Yeah, I didn't use like like the Playboys or anything. It was like mostly from like Teen People. Remember that magazine?
Or Tiger Beat, Teen Beat.
Right. But yeah. Oh, and I had like the Britney posters, the Christina posters, and all that. But yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah. But yeah. Going back to the I Love the '80s or I Love the '70s, those series and everything. Like they did like wax nostalgic about a lot of things, but they also had the awareness of some of that shit that they're talking about did not age well, and they point out like the irony and the campiness of like their topics.
Right.
So there was self-awareness with those shows and everything. And so I think the last one that they did was I Love the 2000s and everything back in 2014. And quite frankly, they could get the band back together. Hal Sparks, Michael Ian Black, Rachel Harris, Dee Snider. They could get all of them back together and do another like series. They could do another I Love the '80s. They could do another I Love the '90s because there's a lot of topics that they did not talk about.
Dude, you want to talk about tough guys that showed flair? Dee Snider back in the 80s.
Yeah, Dee Snider. Yeah,
he wore makeup, lipstick, high hair, girls' tights or women's tights, and we're not gonna take it. And and fuck with him. See how far you get.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, he's called out right wingers and everything. So yeah.
Dude, so it's just so funny that people talk that shit like that. It's like, bro, it's just the fact that men are now embracing who they truly really are, where before they had to hide it. And I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because coming from a kid that was I didn't have a a conservative or restricting household, but I grew up in a neighborhood that if you showed any signs of weakness or different, you became a target. Even though I knew some motherfuckers that were on the down low, but they just wouldn't say it. Well, obviously that's why they were. Well,
it's just like what Storm said in the episode 1 of the X-Men animated series. People fear what they don't understand.
No, exactly.
But before you talk about the good old days, be aware of who you're saying it to, because it's not. It wasn't the good old days for them.
Exactly.
And also I'm just going to close on this. Yes, the times have changed, as Bob Dylan used to sing about. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Funny.
Change is good.
I was listening to that on the way here. These times are changing.
And also, don't be a dick. Don't gatekeep music, movies, and television. You're not the Smithsonian asshole.
To quote the great Brian Zane, like what you like and don't be a dick.
Yep.
You can wax poetic about nostalgia, but don't act like it's the best thing ever, because look for the faults in it.
Yeah.
They were good, but there was also bad. And just like any decade and any era, you can find the good today. You just got to look for it. With that, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Go ahead and follow us on social media at The Minorities Report, on Instagram, on X, whatever. On TikTok, we're also at The Minorities 2.0 on TikTok. We got 2 different accounts on that. Drop us a line. See if we should start a Facebook, and Jaychelle could drop in some memes and shit in there. But anyway, thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and we will see you.